This is a story about a city, about the people who once lived there, and the few who still do. This is a story about memory, about the past haunting the present, and the present echoing the past. It's a story about loss, about what's been stolen, and about what we've given away. It's a story I didn't realize I was a part of, and now it's a story you're a part of too. Halfway around the world, nestled along the northwest corner of the Aegean Sea, sits the port city of Thessaloniki, a city you've maybe only heard about if you're Greek or a hardcore history buff, or maybe you're a child of its Sephardic or Romagnol Jewish communities. Thessaloniki was home to one of the world's most ancient Jewish societies. Our earliest record of it found in the writings of St. Paul the Apostle, who traveled there to preach in 3 of the city's synagogues during the 1st century CE. As empires rose and fell, the Jewish community of Salonica, as it was also known, stayed steady until a generational calamity shook things loose. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. And also, it sucked if you were a Jew. The Alhambra Decree, the Spanish Inquisition, Jews on the run. Spaniards being hostile to Jews, imagine that. The Ottoman Turks, who by this point had conquered Greece, sensed an opportunity to populate its territory with well-educated and industrious subjects, so they opened Salonica's glittering port to welcome Spain's expelled Sephardi Jews. Ladino-speaking Jews poured in from Majorca, Catalonia, Valencia, Toledo, Sicily, Venezia, Napoli, Portugal, Provence. Ashkenazi Jews from Transylvania, Austria, Hungary, all joined their Romagnol Jewish brethren from Greece to form one of the world's only Jewish-majority cities, a thriving cultural and commercial hub by the sea. Dubbed the Mother of Israel, Salonica's Jewish population reached 75,000 by the early 20th century. It was also the largest concentration of Sephardic Jews anywhere on earth. The port, a focal point of trade and commerce, was closed on Shabbat because all its workers were Jewish. Talmud Torah Hagadol, an educational institution of more than 10,000 students, was a major European center of Torah learning. The cemetery, a sprawling 4 million square foot site containing 400,000 Jewish graves, was the largest cemetery in Europe. Thessaloniki was truly a global bastion of Jewish life. No wonder it was known for centuries as the Jerusalem of the Balkans. So, how come you never heard about it? Well, for one, as I've discussed several times on this program, we've not invested in comprehensive Jewish education that teaches us our history as a diasporic, interconnected global tribe. Now, thankfully, that's beginning to change, but we've still got a long way to go. Second, well, let's get back to the story. The disappearance of Jewish Thessaloniki began in 1913 with the unification of Greece. Suddenly, there was a new administration with Greek nationalism on the brain. In 1917, a devastating fire ravaged the city, decimating the central district where most of the Jews lived, rendering 50,000 Jewish people homeless. Sensing an opportunity to at last remake the city in their own image, the Greek government forbade Jews from rebuilding their destroyed community as it had been. In fact, the city's reconstruction plan actively broke up the Jewish communal way of life, interspersing Christians and Muslims throughout the neighborhood, pushing out many Jews entirely. The 1923 Treaty of Lausanne triggered a population swap between Greece and Turkey that brought 100,000 more Greek Christians into the territory. And after nearly half a millennium, Thessaloniki's Jewish majority was no more. If you've been paying attention to the chronology, I'm guessing you have some idea of where the story goes next. 1941, the Nazis arrive and occupy Greece. At the time, Salonica's Jews numbered over 55,000. In March of 1943, the city is emptied of its Jewish population entirely. A few thousand make it to Athens or other parts of the Italian zone. A few hundred hide or fight with the partisans. The other 50,000 are packed onto trains, deported to Auschwitz, and gassed. By the end of the war, just 1 year later, of Thessaloniki's 55,000 Jews, less than 2,000 are still alive. An annihilation rate of 96%, what most people might call a genocide. Before the war, this Jerusalem of the Balkans was home to 45 synagogues. By 1943, there was only one. That cemetery, with its 400,000 Jewish bodies that belonged to the community for almost 500 years, well, the Greek authorities took advantage of the Nazi occupation to raze the whole place, steal the marble gravestones to use for roads, courtyards, cafeterias, latrines, even a church. Aristotle University, one of the biggest in Greece, was built right on top. The Jews, of course, received no compensation for this 86-acre piece of land or the invaluable treasures destroyed within. So why am I telling you all this? Well, for one thing, you deserve to know. Salonica was a jewel of Jewish life, and you should know about this special, one-of-a-kind place. It's a travesty that Thessaloniki isn't widely known throughout the Jewish community, though, of course, it's hard for folks to learn about a place when its entire footprint has been erased, as if the flourishing Jewish society that lived and breathed there for centuries had never existed at all. As former BJJP guest Dara Horn says, it's not enough to learn about how Jews died. We must also learn and celebrate how they lived. The people of Salonica deserve to be known and remembered, not for the horrific way they were deleted from the world, but for the way they lived and thrived. I also needed to talk to you about Salonica because I was just there. I spent a week in Greece, in Salonica, Corfu, and Athens, with Jewish Federation's National Young Leadership Cabinet. Shout out to my chevra. And I gotta tell you, it was kind of a bummer. Meaningful, educational, fun, totally worthwhile, but kind of a drag, man. In Thessaloniki, we visited the one Jewish museum, the one synagogue, heard from some of the local Jews still there, fighting for their place in public consciousness. We visited the empty parking lot that was recently approved to be turned into a Jewish memorial square, and we saw the single memorial statue honoring all that was and will never be again. I told you this was a story about the past returning to haunt the present returning to greet the past. We visited the memorial at the old Jewish cemetery, just a small patch of grass and concrete now hidden somewhere inside Aristotle University's ugly, hulking gray campus. And as we approached this unsatisfactory excuse for remembrance, what delightful decoration did we find festooning the surrounding curb? Zionists not welcome. Death to the IDF. Bold red graffiti letters not 20 feet from the memorial of the cemetery that used to be the largest Jewish burial ground on Earth, in the largest Jewish majority city on Earth, all of which was destroyed by the non-Jewish Greeks whose grandkids probably sprayed the graffiti. How's that for inversion? As human beings, we are capable of great empathy, but there are some things in life you just can't fully understand unless you live them. To travel the world as a Jew, or as a person interested in Jewish history, is to visit town after town, city after city, in country after country, where our people and the rich communities they built have been disappeared from the face of the earth. Like an alien ship flew overhead and just sucked the entire thing into the void of space without a sound. Oh, this luxury condo, it used to be the home of a Jewish family whose textile business clothed and fed the community until they were dragged out of that home, dispossessed of their business by their own neighbors, and murdered. Here's a plaque where the Jewish elementary school used to be, on the wall of this cell phone store. Here's our little Jewish museum, with whatever the nice neighbors who didn't steal all our stuff while we were in the death camps gave back to us when a dozen of us returned. Please purchase these gift shop items made in Israel, because there's no one left here to make them anymore. Enjoy our fair city, where none of the people walking around have any idea that Jews ever lived here at all. And yet, despite our erasure at Greek Christian hands, despite a modern-day Jewish population of less than 6,000 across the entire country of 10 million, every city we visited was covered in anti-Jew graffiti. And yes, Zionists not welcome, death to the IDF, and fuck Israel are not just anti-Israel, they're anti-Jewish, because you don't see anyone else, anywhere else, spray painting anything like this about any other country all over their city walls. And yes, baby murdering Jew cunts is also anti-Jew, in case there was any doubt, but points for originality. To be honest, the graffiti wasn't even something that registered for me at first. I'm used to the hate speech, both from online exposure and from having visited several European countries in the past 2 years. But I recognized that my peers were not used to it and were deeply shaken by it. They were shaken by the sheer boldness of it, how loud and seemingly ubiquitous it was. And it was all in English, a unified expression of hate spanning the globe, ensuring maximum understanding and engagement. There are worse things than hateful graffiti, but it ain't fun, you know? We did have some wonderful interactions with the Greek Jewish communities of Athens and Salonica, but all were bittersweet because there's just no escaping the feeling of where the hell is everybody? Add to that our daily cadre of plainclothes armed security guards and full multi-car police escorts everywhere we went, our instructions to avoid the Spanish fans of a visiting soccer team, for our rabbi to remove his kippah as we toured the Acropolis. And the cherry on top, all the shit we're already carrying inside as engaged diasporic Jews in an increasingly hostile Western world. All of that taken together, that's just a little taste of what it's like to walk around as a member of the Jewish people today. We've grown so accustomed to living this way, sometimes we don't even realize it's there, this weight, this subtle heaviness, this invisible layer of muck we have to drag our feet through as we move about the world. And this isn't a woe is me moment, but an honest recognition that there's a reason why something as seemingly fun and carefree as a tour through Greece might feel challenging or slightly off kilter or a little hollow or just hard. And on top of that weight, there's also the armor, not the physical kind Israeli Jews need, but the psychological kind the rest of us do. Every morning, whether you realize it or not, you are loading up your invisible armor, preparing yourself to face whatever public atrocity or personal betrayal or ignorant hate you'll have to weather as you go about your day. The full experience of being an engaged Jew today is so layered, so nuanced, so isolating, and so unique that it is frankly impossible to fully understand or even articulate without feeling it in your own body. In a previous monologue about maintaining mental clarity, I introduced my idea of the Jeremiah effect. When the world around you has been ideologically captured and everyone is shouting the same ideas that you know to be wrong, by default, you are going to feel alone, and you're going to feel a little crazy. You know what you know to be true is true, and what you know to be right is right, but then why are you the only one saying it? That will make you feel crazy, but you're not. Embracing as progressive an ideology that has you assume the worst of an entire group of people, based on dis and misinformation, no less, that's crazy. At the end of these cabinet trips, we gather in smaller groups to reflect on the experience, and what I absorbed from the session this time was that some of my peers, and so I'm assuming a lot of you out there, are scared. I understand. If that is you, I would first challenge you to go through the exercise of forcing yourself to name the exact and precise literal thing you're afraid of and assess if that's likely to occur or how to avoid it or if it's in fact worthy being scared of. But ultimately, whether you're scared or not, it's fine. I don't need you to not be scared. But what I do need you to be is brave. Even if you're scared, we need you out here anyway. Some of you are also waiting for some signal or to have your name called, but that's not how it works. We need you out here anyway. We have got to normalize Jews taking up space in public, period. We will never accomplish anything by withholding or diminishing ourselves for safekeeping or for the comfort of those who might despise us. We have to continue exposing our societies to the immutable existence of proud Jews in their midst. Too many of us continue to reach for the security blanket of being able to hide our identities. Unlike most people of color who have no choice but to confront the world as they are, many Jews can and do opt out. And while that's been a useful survival tactic in extreme times, it hurts us today. It weakens our presence, dilutes our power, shifts responsibility for change away from the collective and onto the shoulders of the few. Imagine how different things might look in the public square if the millions of American Jews hiding in plain sight suddenly switched on. Not easy to be so brazen or ignorant when the subject of your ire is constantly staring you in the face. In life, we teach people how to treat us. And if we Jews don't allow ourselves to even be encountered, we're not giving ourselves the chance to teach anybody anything about us at all. And I know it can feel risky, that simply being openly and comfortably Jewish is to stick your head above the parapet. But it's also an enormous risk not to, because you're not giving yourself the opportunity for something good to happen. People will surprise you. There are moments of connection and support and learning waiting all around us. but you'll never experience them if you stay in hiding. It's like the great one Wayne Gretzky once said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Ask yourself, what's the alternative? Be a closeted Jew who lives inauthentically, shrinking yourself forever, hoping this will all just go away? That's not a story with a happy ending. I'm not suggesting you need to be reckless. There's a difference between wearing your fancy watch to work and wearing it in the worst part of town at 2 a.m. Don't be an idiot. But don't be a coward either. If today's climate is a parallel to Europe in the 30s, we've seen who the enablers of hate are, the neighbors willing to flip on us on a dime. We've seen who's rising to the occasion and taking up the fight. And we're also seeing which folks would rather surrender their agency and allow events to unfold around them with no input and no impact, farming out their future to others while clinging to the prayer that things will sort themselves out. I don't think that's the kind of person any of us wants to be. How you do anything is how you do everything. So approach your role with intention, or by default, you're not going to have a role at all. If there's one more thing I learned from my time in Greece, it's that carrying around your invisible armor cannot be the most Jewish thing about you. We have to balance the fight for Jewish integrity and respect with the pursuit of Jewish meaning and joy and community. The real reward of these cabinet trips is not the travel or the museums or the meeting with ambassadors, shout out to Kimmy G, but the opportunity to enjoy those activities with wonderful people, the source of the meaning and joy and community. Too many Jews treat the positive aspects of being Jewish as an add-on or something to think about after the whole fighting hate thing. But the investment in meaning and joy and community, that is the thing. And you owe it to both your mental health and your soul to approach it with the same level of intention, time, and energy as you do the other stuff. So that's the story. If you want to support the Jewish communities of Thessaloniki or Athens, I'll put a bunch of links in the show notes where you can do that. And after you've done that, share this story. Tell your kids and your colleagues and your friends about our people. Because like it or not, it's your story now too. We're all a part of it. And how the next chapter gets written from here is up to each and every one of us. What sort of ending will you write?